Hi, this is Ben from PCGamesN, and I'm here with Dan Hay, who is the creative director on Far Cry 5. So during the presentation we saw the Guns for Hire system. We saw Grace, who's a sniper, Grace Armstrong,
yep.
I think, and Nick
Rye,
yep. Who's a pilot.
Yep.
So can you sort of talk a little bit about how, other ways we're going to be able to use those in game?
Sure. I think that when we were building the game, we were really thinking about the anecdote factory, and we know that we've got this idea of being able to have the anecdote factory where you get freedom, opportunity, and surprise to go out in the world and to basically make it blossom. But we really wanted you to be able to take it with you. Mm-hmm. So when you think about that, we give you Boomer, we give you Nick, we give you Grace, we give you this idea that you can take these folks with you and you can cause all kinds of trouble with them. But when you do, you play them the way you want to play them. Like if you feel like you want to go in and go stealth and you want somebody to watch your back, you take Grace, put her up in a tower, put her up on top of something, and she will basically watch your back and take it. And she's super efficient, so she's very good at being able to protect you. If you feel like you want to have a little bit more of being able to plan out your route and think about what you want to do, you take Boomer and you send him in, and basically he's a dog. Nobody pays attention to him. He goes in, he's perfect to just go in and basically highlight everybody. And then at the last minute you tell, okay, Boomer, take one out, and then he comes running back and he's got the the gun with him, and you're like, that's my best friend, Boomer, way to go. And then if you decide that you want to look down there and you see a whole bunch of these guys clustering together, or you look at a very specific target where you see a cult vehicle and you go, that thing needs to go away, like this, you call Nick and he takes care of it.
I guess a biplane is less of a stealth tool.
For sure.
Yeah. So obviously you can have different Guns for Hire. I know we're only talking about these ones at the moment. How many can you have at once again?
We're still, we're not talking about that yet in terms of what it is, because it's one of those things that you want to balance and play with, but I think people are going to like it.
Yeah, but you can have different assortments, so different people, different skills.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea is that you've met these people, you've got a squad, and you basically have these folks that you can call on, and each of them has a unique skill or a unique weapon, or even can provide you with a unique weapon. Like with Nick, you can call him, and he can bring you the plane, or you can just take it and fly up and go after a chosen yourself.
He's pretty generous guy. You mentioned Grace being very efficient.
Yeah.
Something that is often the case with NPCs, especially if they're supporting you, is that they're not that efficient because the designers want you to do most of the work for the gameplay. So is that something, their kind of efficacy is something you're really focusing on? Are they very potent?
I think so. What we're careful of is we know that we're born from a single player sort of DNA, and we know that people are going to want to be able to, if they have that choice, to be able to go off and go, look, Guns for Hire, I put it to the side. Co-op, I put it to the side. I just want to be able to go out and do it. The game needs to be able to support that, and it needs to feel right. But at the same time, you're going to run into situations where somebody's in the world is going to go, you know what you need? You need a dog. Or you know what? You could really, this is a tough spot. It's a sniper. Or there's a guy not too far away. He's got a plane. It's not a terrible idea to get a plane and then just strafe this if you can. And so those opportunities are going to be like breadcrumbs, and you can choose to take them or not. It's your choice.
Okay. Can Boomer die? I hope not.
So here's the thing, right? Boomer can take fire and go down and go away for a while.
Okay.
But he'll come back.
Perfect. He goes to the farm and then comes back from the farm.
Yes. Yeah.
Brilliant. As long as we don't need to flush him down the toilet. I had a horrible dog loss in Fallout once due to a bug, I think. But yeah, it's still with me. So obviously we're switching to an open world for the first time, which is really interesting. Far Cry has always been quite an author-directed experience, even though we're in an open space. Must have been a bit of a challenge.
I think for us, we've always been pushing for big, expansive open worlds. But it's you're right when you think about the narrative. The narrative's been fairly linear, right? And so what we thought we would do is that yes, we have generous open worlds. Yes, we have the anecdote factory. Yes, you could conceivably go in any direction, but the story was pretty much go and do this, then have this moment, then go and do this, then meet this person. What we said was, wait a minute, look at the way the outposts work in Far Cry 3, Far Cry 4, and even Primal. The outpost gave you the opportunity to go see an outpost, look down at it, the freedom to be able to take it from 360 degrees. The opportunity of maybe there's a bear in a cage, or maybe there's an elephant, or maybe there's something down there that you can play with, and then the surprise of when you kick it off, it goes a way you didn't imagine. And what we said was with Far Cry 5, why couldn't we just do that with the entire game? Why couldn't we make it so that you could go in any direction, you could meet any character, you could partake in any story, and you could play it completely differently, and it was entirely up to you how you authored it. So that's what we did. We made it so that you're going to have a very specific moment with the father at the beginning of the game, which I don't want to ruin and give away.
Sure.
But once that's done, and you find yourself out in the open world, if you decide to play and go south and you're going to go meet Mary and you're going to go take over Falls End or not, you're going to meet Nick, you might meet Pastor Jerome, you might meet Casey. There's a bunch of different characters that live down there. You would come back to me after 10 hours and go, oh, this is the experience that I had and I played this part of the world. And I'd be like, I don't know what game you played because I went north and I met completely different people. There were different animals up there, there was a different situation up there, and I had this experience. We're like, okay, well, let's switch, or actually, no, let's go to another region. And it's designed so that you kind of author your own story.
Talking of animals then, we've seen the bear, obviously, in the sort of original, the announcement trailer. How does wildlife work in Far Cry 5?
It's a big deal for us. Like, we know that wildlife is also in our DNA, right? Every single time that we try and give you or want to give you a place that you can explore, we want it to be about hunting and wilderness and give you the opportunity. So it's funny because we actually went to Montana and we actually went hunting and we went fishing and we had all these different really interesting experiences. And we really realized that it's almost like a piece of music. It's not that you're going to be running and gunning the whole time. There's going to be people who are going to want to just get into a car and drive a classic muscle car down the road with some badass music playing, and or get in a big rig, or get in a plane, or just go hunting, or just go fishing. And that's the thing that we're seeing at E3, which is really interesting, is that we give this great big open world to play with, we give this huge demo, we give all these guns for hire, and some people are just wandering over to the near lake and they're just sort of going, and they're fishing, and they're loving it. They're playing it for half an hour. They're playing it for 45 minutes. They're like, guys, you gotta go. And they're like, no, but I gotta get another fish. And they're actually playing against their friends, and it's just creating this sense of what we experienced, which is we're in Montana, and it's the little things, right? It makes it feel very real. And so whether it's hunting, whether it's fishing, whether it's going out with Boomer, I had an experience about 4 days ago where I was playing the game, and I'm running around, and I had Boomer as a thanks for hire, and I'm just about to go and attack a cult space, which I can't name yet, I can't tell you.
Sure.
And I'm about to go in and fight it, and all of a sudden I hear this growling from behind, and it's this huge bear that's basically coming up to attack. I'm like, holy crap. And I turn around, and Boomer barks at it, and the bear goes, whoa, pulls back, and then starts hauling ass way over that way, and all of a sudden I'm hunting bears.
Right.
And it's super cool because Boomer is now going after the bears, and I'm realizing, wait a minute, Boomer has the ability to spin those plates. So now I'm less afraid of wolves because I got Boomer with me. So now all of a sudden I'm pushing back. I've got a dog with me, so I'm pushing back on the wildlife, and the organic nature of how it works really feels cool. I'm walking around in the world by myself, and I really do feel like a little kid, kind of trapped in the woods. I have my dog. All of a sudden I'm a tough guy, and I'm going through the woods and I'm hunting bears. It's cool.
So with the with all these tools available to you, then, like the thanks for hire, guns for hire, has that changed the way you've tied hunting animals to creating resources? Or
oh, I get it. So you're talking about crafting and those types of things.
Yeah,
I think there's beats that we're talking about now, and there's beats that we aren't. But what you can imagine is you look at the trajectory of how it worked through Far Cry 3, Far Cry 4, and even Primal, right? That it's got to fit the scene that you're in. It's got to make sense for what you're doing. We did that here. We wanted to make sure that when you're crafting, or when you're basically sort of looking at your resources and looking at the economy of the experience, that it made sense. So that's our focus for Montana.
Okay. And final question, how has it been sort of switching back to a more local place, somewhere that you can be more familiar with?
It's cool. I think people typically think of Far Cry and they're like, put me in a plane and send me 6,000 miles away and have this truly exotic experience.
Like E3.
And it's cool,
anyway.
right? Exactly. Yeah. But when we started to think about Montana, the first time that we threw out the idea of Montana, some folks were like, Montana? That's next door. And then it's like, well, here, it's a frontier. It's wild. It also has all this cool stuff in it. And we started to list it all, and all these cool people, and all these cool opportunities. And it has a history of self-reliance, and it's got a cult, and it's got the father, and everybody's kind of like, okay, I get it, Montana, that's cool. So I think what's really interesting for us is to build a world that feels very real, that feels credible, that has characters in it that are not just AI waiting to give you missions. If you don't take care of some things, they may take care of it themselves. And it's just interesting to build that world, and for us, it's been super rewarding.
Amazing. Dan, thank you very much
for
your time. It's been
Cheers.
really nice to talk
Awesome.
to you. So remember to like, share, and subscribe, and do all of those social things, and we'll see you soon. Bye.